Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Welcome to you, my dear students, in this lecture, which is lecture number 6 in the course Translating Text Types, Tarjamat al-Anmat al-Nassiyya. I realize that we have talked a little bit or some information about the theoretical part of this course. The theoretical part of this course began from maybe lecture number 2 until lecture number 5, and now I feel that before we enter into the practical part of translating text types, we have to go back a little bit and to have a look and some general revision on what we have just taken from the first lecture to the 5th lecture. Now, I think we've talked about the following. The first lecture, it contains, I think, something like, you see, the importance of translation and definitions and so many things. We'd like just to come to pass by these ideas that we have just conveyed in those lectures. As we talked to you about, we have a text and you are a translator. You are required to translate that text in a way that will make those who read the translation feel the same feeling of those who read the source text. So we have a text and there are many opposing forces that pull the translation activity on opposite directions. Text, nas. We have opposing forces. قوى متضاربة، قوى تشد النص من نواحي متعددة. وقد مثلها Newmark in this diagram or this figure like so. You see, we have the source language writer, SL, that means source language, اللغة المصدر, writer, الكاتب. Source language norms, SL norms. Source language culture, ثقافة. هذا مهم في الترجمة أيضا. Source language setting and tradition, تقاليد. Source language SL. This part, which is in your left hand, it is in my left hand now, okay, and the other part which is on your right hand, which also some forces that will, affect the way that you're going to translate the text. It is the target language, TL, and that means target language. إذا سألتك في الاختبار مثلا SL and TL stand for، شنو stand for؟ يعني إنها تمثل أو اختصار لي لإيش؟ SL source language، TL target language. Okay. TL readership القراء، وهذا مهم جدا. القراء عامل مهم، جمهور القراء، الأودينس اللي أنت مترجم لهم هذا الترجمة، لازم تفكر فيهم جيدا. لما تترجم للأطفال غير لما تترجم للبالغين، غير لما تترجم ل professionals. Okay. TL norms طبعا مقابل SL norms. TL culture مقابل SL culture. TL setting and tradition مقابل SL setting and tradition. And we have in the middle two important factors. 9, which is the truth, the facts of the matter. You have a text in which you have many truths, numbers, maybe percentages, maybe names, maybe many things in this text, and these facts and truth are going to be translated by you, and you have to know these facts and truth, how to deal with that and how to transfer that to the other language that you are intending to translate the text to. Translator, you are the translator. You are the translator. So we have 10 components، أجزاء 10 يخترعها مين؟ نيومارك. On what? 10 components. On what? What is called, this is called by Newmark dynamics of translation. ديناميكيات الترجمة. Dynamics of translation. يعني مثلا الحين target language, these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 components or dynamics of translation that are suggested by Newmark. And we have talked about that. And you see that you are in front of a text, you want to translate that text, you have to take into your consideration to bear in your hand, to bear in your head. Okay, how would you deal with such a text, and how would you pick up or determine the strategies or general strategies and strategies of details that you're going to use to translate that text into, because you are having something in your left hand and some other things on your right hand, and you're trying to translate that text according to those opposing forces. قوة متضاربة. هذه كلها تشد النص الذي سيخرج بالطريقة، تشد بطريقة مختلفة اتجاهها. Okay, let's see what other things that we have just talked about. I think we've just talked about as well about translation. Translation, what does translation mean? According to Jeremy Monday. Jeremy Monday classifies or talks about that in a way that is considerable. I like that, so I've just included that in my slides just to make you be sure that there are many people who are talking about translation. They may just show you or give you or inform you by good and excellent ideas about definitions and many things. So translation to Jeremy Monday means may mean the following. The term translation can refer to, ممكن يعود هذا الترم يعني المفهوم المصطلح حق translation ممكن يعود إلى إيش؟ The general subject field about everything that's happening in translation, whether it is you the translator or the text, or translating some translating strategies or whatever is whatever related to translation. You may say that this is translation. Like you say, for example, biology, Arabic, religion, history, translation, health, and so on. It is like a big title under which you can find many things related to that title. يعني هي مفهوم عام الترجمة كذا، مفهوم عام. أي شيء يتعلق بها بالترجمة هو يتكلم عن، يمكن أن يعتبر general subject field يعني حقل العام حق الخاص بهذا الموضوع. The product, you have a text, you translated that text onto English, and it is, for example, a text in Arabic. You have a text in Arabic. You just have taken that text and began translating it. When you finish, you give it to your client and you say, this is your translation. So this text, which is translated into English, is the product that Jeremy Monday talks about as a translation. So he may refer, he just wanted to show us what this term may refer to as a translation term. And the third one, the process, the act of producing the translation. The process, you are sitting and you are talking, you are sitting, you have a text, you have your dictionary with you, you have your Google with you, your computer with you, and you have the book, many books, and many other references, and you are sitting. And you may have your phone as well to call somebody to help you in getting the meaning of something. So this thing, what you are doing, reading the source text, then writing the translation to the target text, and checking something from the dictionary, or checking some words from the dictionary, some vocabulary from the dictionary, to see the exact meaning or the varieties of meaning that this term may include, then you may also call somebody, ask him about something. You all may call, or go to Google and ask Google about something. This process, as Jeremy Monday suggests, is also maybe called translation. يعني عملية الترجمة عملية النقل من وإلى لغة إلى أخرى باستخدام جميع الوسائل. هذه العملية القائمة هي عملية تسمى ترجمة أيضا، ممكن تقول عنها translation. يعني كلمة translation ممكن أنها أو هذا الترم المصطلح ممكن أنه يصف هذه الأمور الثلاثة حسب ما يقول مين؟ جيرمي ماندي. أنا أكلمكم مرة ثانية، جيرمي ماندي عنده كتاب اسمه إيش؟ اسمه Introducing Translation Studies. Introducing Translation Studies. Let me come closer to you so that you can just get the name. Okay, and he talks about that in one of the pages, I think. I'm not sure now what page is he talking about that in. Okay, so let's go. What does translation mean? These are the definitions of translation, and we have just looked at 4 definitions, and I just picked 4 definitions. I don't want you to go furthermore. Many people talked about the definition of translation, and many people are competing between each other so that they can just get a definition that will be accepted by all, and that is, that is something related to scholars and their competition in producing idioms or producing definitions that will be widely used, and he will be also honored for that. So we have many authors or many scholars try to define translation. The first one, Newmark, and I've just talked to you about his book, textbook of translation, and many books he has also authored in that area. But he talks about that like this: rendering the meaning of a text into another language in the way that the author intended the text. Okay, this is, and I just ask you to concentrate on 2 major words, key words. 2. It is transferring the meaning, rendering the meaning, transporting the meaning. نقل المعنى من لغة إلى أخرى. This is translation as a basic. This is translation as a basic. Basically, this is the translation. You want to render the meaning from one language to another. But, when you come to the practical ground, or to the practical translation, you may have some other details about that. But basically, this is a what we call translation according to Newmark. لما أقول لك according to يعني بالنسبة لمين؟ لنيومارك. كما قال نيومارك، كما قال نيومارك أو دعا نيومارك. أوكي. author عند نيومارك شو هو؟ هو مش author يعني مؤلف كتاب، هو author قصده the originator of the text, whether it is oral or written. يعني قائل أو منشئ أو منتج أو عامل ذلك النص، مهما كان هذا النص oral or written، إما لو كان منطوقا أو مكتوبا. Okay, so this is the first definition of translation. ممكن يجيك في الاختبار like this. أقول لك مثلا rendering the meaning of a text into another language in the way that the author intended the text to. Okay, it is the definition of. هذا تعريف مين؟ أقول لك نيومارك، أقول لك جيرمي ماندي، أقول لك okay, it is Newmark. Or maybe, for example, rendering the فراغ of a text into another language in the way that the author intended the text. Okay, you can just, you have your 3 choices, and you can, or 4 choices, I'm sorry, and you can find the word meaning within those 4 choices, and you can just check it or pick it or circle it. Okay, let's see. What does translation mean? What does translation mean? This is also another definition which is longer than that for Brussels, and it is good, but I just included that in my slides because some definitions are very short and simple and basic, and we'd like to know that so that we can, or the students can be able to understand the general term of translation. Now, some people are offering some other definitions which are very longer but more accurate, أكثر دقة. But you will find that this definition is the same in the general idea of the first one, which was just 2 lines. Translation is the general term referring to the transfer, مرة ثانية, transfer, نقل, of thoughts and ideas, أفكار والفكر بشكل عام. الحين thoughts and ideas may be like meaning, transfer meaning from one language which is source language to another language which is target language. هذا الجزء الأول هو عرف الترجمة. لكن الحين يبدأ بإيش؟ بالكلام whether the languages are in written or oral form. We're not just talking about written form, we're talking about also oral form. Sometimes you need to translate some oral activity. Somebody who's talking in a press conference, for example, and talking about himself, about something, whatever, maybe political. In fact, somebody who would just sit or stand beside him while he says 2 or 3 words, then he consecutively renders the meaning of what that political or politic man saying to the people who are just listening, and they don't understand that man's language. So we call that consecutive translation. Somebody who is just picking your words or picking your 4 or 5 sentences, then he says that orally to the audience who are waiting to see what that man is talking about. So this is what's called oral translation. Maybe oral, the text may be oral, or maybe written. Whether the languages have established orthographies or do not have such standardization, or whether one or both languages is based on signs, as with sign languages of the deaf. All these, after the word target, after the word target here, after the word target to the end, these are details that will make the definition more accurate and adequate. Okay, so what is translation? Is that referring to the transfer of thoughts and ideas, of meanings from one language to another language. This is the basic thing. But the other ideas that are offered by the author or by the man who defines this, the other information is just to give you an adequate, an accurate overview or meaning of the word, of the term translation. Okay, this for Bristol, I think 1972. Let's go. What does translation mean? Also, we have this definition by is often by Farghal. Farghal, yes, he is an excellent scholar. I just know, and I just picked that definition from his book because he is of Arabic background and he has a lot of researches in translation, and he deserves to be put in my slides. So translation is often regarded as a project for transferring meaning from one language to another. This is for Farghal. Okay, all the previous mentioned definitions of the term translation talk about 2 key words. There are 2 key words in that. The first one is transfer, the second one is meaning. 2 key words in the definition of translation: transfer and meaning. كلمات مفتاحية أساسية في الترجمة هما transfer النقل و meaning المعنى. Okay. Some other basic definitions like source text ST, the text requiring translation. هذا لازم نحفظها يعني نعرفها. Target text TT. قلنا source text النص المصدر. Target text النص الهدف. Source language اللغة المصدر. Target language اللغة الهدف. Strategy يعني الاستراتيجية أو الطريقة المستخدمة أو النظرة العامة التي يمكن أن تتخذها كموقف من النص من أجل ترجمته. Okay. Source text, the text requiring translation. target text. TT, the text which is a translation of the source text. ترجمة للنص المصدر. Source language, the language in which the source text is written. Target language, the language into which the source text is translated. Strategy. What is strategy? Oh, the translator's overall plan consisting of a set of strategic decisions taken after an initial reading of the source text, but before starting detailed translation. Strategy, but before translating, before starting detailed translation, you take a decision of what strategy you are going to use in translating that sort of text. We talked as well about translation studies as a discipline. Now, translation studies is a very vast discipline under which everything related to translation is in. You see, and we talked about our location, like text type course is located here in the translation studies, which is pure, which is theoretical, which is partial, and one of the partial theoretical pure translation studies is what is called text type, which is text type restricted. So text type is here in that, text type is here in the whole, this is the whole picture of translation studies, the whole diagram, and you see it is pure and applied and so on, but would like to know what our location, where our location is. You may have some other courses which will talk about applied translation studies, you know, translators training, translator aids, criticism, function, and so on. These things you may just have have that in other courses, but I just wanted to show you where our location as translating text types is. Are all those texts of the same text type? And this is the question that is important. Are all texts the same? You know, we have just encountered, or we have just seen together and read together many texts, about 9 texts, I think, English and Arabic texts, so that to give you you know, an idea about what text type we're talking about. Text type. What is the term text type, and how practically can we understand that thing? So you see, text type 1 was religious text. It was taken from the Holy Quran. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. It is a religious text taken from a holy book, from the noble book, which is Al-Quran Al-Karim. And this is, and I told you that translating such a text must be accurate, and you have to pay a lot of attention to the meanings, because you just you just transfer the meanings of the Holy Quran in a way that will, you know, have an effect on people who don't speak Arabic, like that effect that you know, maybe on those people who speak Arabic, or who have just read that in Arabic language. Text 2 is a bank leaflet. We talk about online banking, passwords, you know, usernames, links, everything. We are talking about another text which is totally different from the first one. Okay, text 3 was about a technical text describing a certain disease. وهذا كان عن technical text، يعني نص تقني بحت مقدم، يعني هو يعني كان مأخوذ من إحدى كليات الطب اللي تدرس الطب باللغة العربية، ما تدرس الطب باللغة الإنجليزية، تدرس الطب باللغة أعتقد هو من جامعة دمشق. أنا أخذت من كتاب يدرس في جامعة دمشق. أوكي، وهذا يتكلم عن disease معين، عن مرض معين، certain disease. So it is technical ومليء، تذكرون في إذا راح نشوف احنا وراح نتكلم عنه، راح نتكلم عنه بالتفصيل. Okay, text 4 is a literary text taken from the novel Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. You know, novel, a long story, a long imaginative story talking about some, you know, maybe some someone, or the life of somebody. Okay, so literary, that means adabi. The text is an official speech, you know, official speech, خطاب رسمي, by the custodian of the 2 holy mosques. And text 6 is a poem by the famous English poet William Wordsworth. هذه كانت في عندنا قصيدة للشاعر الإنجليزي الرومانسي المعروف ويليام ووردزورث poem it was she dwelt among the untrodden ways beside the springs of the and so on. Text 7 is an academic text thesis abstract. كان عندنا مثال thesis abstract ملخص رسالة ماجستير أو دكتوراه. Text 8 is a financial text taken from the Economist newspaper. Financial text is and text 9 is taken from a tourist brochure يعني نشرة سياحية أو كراس سياحي. So are all texts the same? It is obvious that not all texts are the same. Not all texts are the same type. ليس كل النصوص هي من نفس النوع وليست من نفس النمط. We may distinguish between political texts, legal texts, and so on until the end that was told by Strasbourg 1998. Now, text type, Catherine Rice talking about text types, and she views the text rather than the word or sentence as the level at which communication is achieved and at which equivalence must be taught. عندنا كلمتين text وعندنا كلمة ثانية equivalence وعند بينهما كلام أيضا مهم. text نص. النص هو بالنسبة لكاثرين رايس هو الأهم الذي يجب أن نعتمد عليه في تحقيق التواصل وفي تحقيق أيضا عملية equivalence اللي هو التكافؤ المعنوي. We don't depend on word as she suggests. هذا تقول مين؟ كاثرين رايس واحدة من العالمات الأمنيات في هذا المجال. Okay. She suggests that we just the text is the most important. The word and sentence will come after that. It's okay. But generally and initially we have to concentrate on the text. واحنا تكلمنا عن التكست. شو يعني تكست؟ النص. شو يعني النص؟ ممكن يكون كلمة واحدة معبرة coherent whole كلا متكاملا، وممكن تكون عبارة عن مقالة من 5 ورقات 6 ورقات 10 ورقات، ممكن تكون أيضا مجلدات من ورقات مجلدات من كتب أيضا مليئة بالورقات بالصفحات. Okay, let's go. Also we talked about Hatem and Mason classification of text types. So they just talked about argumentative, expositive and instruction based text types. عنده كان حاتم and Mason اثنينهم كان عندهم تقسيمة لأنماط النصوص، في نمط يقول جدلي ونمط تفسيري تعبير ونمط معتمد على التعليمات. بالنسبة لنيومارك اعتمد على Bohr's functions of language، اعتبر انه في عندنا expressive informative and vocative، والexpressive بيعتمد تماما على الرايتر اللي هو الكاتب، والinformative بيعتمد تماما على الكونتنت على التوبيك على الموضوع حق المعرفة الموجود، and vocative readership. والvocative يعني اللي هو الندائي اللي هو خصوصا خاص بالدعايات and so on. وفي عندهم كلمة مهمة وجميلة ان هم few texts are purely expressive, informative or vocative. Most include all 3 functions with an emphasis on one of the 3. يعني هم بيدعوا انه هذا كل اغلب النصوص ممكن تجد فيها من صفات كل من هذه الأنماط التي قسموها، ولكن هو يكون بركز بالتالي على نمط واحد من أنماط النصوص. الحين رايس تكلمت أيضا عن مجموعة 3 أشياء أيضا، أو هي 4 حقيقة تكلمت، لكن احنا في الدياجرام هذا موجود 3. مش راح أسألكم كم واحد تكلمت هي عن 4 أو 3، لكن نعرف إنه هي تكلمت عن formative, expressive, operative. في واحد اسمه audio medial اللي بيتعلق بالدعاية. audio medial media اللي هي الإعلام، والأوديو معناها الصوت. أوكي. وهي تكلمت أيضا informative كيف language function اللي هو وظيفة اللغة في language dimension، بعد اللغوي في عندكم logical بيكون بالنسبة للinformative، البعد اللغوي بالنسبة للexpressive بيكون aesthetic يعني اللي هو جمالي خاص. تذكر لما تقول expressive or aesthetic something like a poem قصيدة أو كتابة شعرية أو كتابة أدبية، يريد الكاتب أن يظهر فيه كل مقدرته في التعبير اللغوي، في التركيز على الفورم اللي هو على الصيغة اللي هو text focus, form focus, and the translation. Each one we talked about في عندكم ترانسليشن بتكون plain prose اللي هو نثر بسيط، في ترانسليشن بتكون identifying تحديد، في ترانسليشن بتكون adaptive اللي هي الأخيرة بالنسبة للأباراتيف، واللي هي بتكون adaptive يعني تكييفية، بتكيف النص مع مع النص الأصلي. مثلا نحن نتكلم مثلا عن بعض الدعايات التي تكون مثلا موجهة للغرب، تريد أن تنقلها إلى توجه لعرب، إذا النص ممكن أن تكيفه بحيث يصبح مناسب ويجذب بالطريقة التي تجذب الناس في المجتمع العربي. يعني الطريقة التي تجذب الناس هناك تختلف عن طريقة هنا. أنا عندي مثال حقيقة علقت عليه في دراسات سابقة، لكن أعتقد we don't have a lot of time to talk about that. I am gonna talk about that, I think, when we talk about advertisements and how to translate them. Okay. genre and text type، هذا بالنسبة لديكنز والآخرين. ديكنز ورفاقه بيعتبروا إنه text type هو genre، والجنرا يعني اللي هو النمط أو نوع النص أو جنس النص، يعني يحتمل تقريبا نفس المعنى. شوف the term text type is often used in a similar sense of genre، بنفس معنى تقريبا من كلمة genre. لذلك هم opted for يعني اختاروا انهم يتكلموا عن genre بدل ما يتكلموا عن text type، وقسموا اللغة او قسموا الجنرز هذول الى 5 اقسام اللي هم literary, religious, philosophical, empirical, persuasive. literary يعني أدبي، religious ديني، philosophical فلسفي، empirical تجريبي، persuasive okay يعني إقناعي. Okay, so we just would like to come here along to just see how we begin translation. Then before you begin translating any text, you need ask yourself the following important questions. هذه يعني أسئلة ممكن تسألها لنفسك قبل ما تبدأ تترجم أي نص. هذه الأسئلة ما هي؟ What is the message content of this particular source text? What are its salient linguistic features? We are talking about linguistic features. It's important because you have to take care of that when you translate. So you have to take care of the linguistic features of the source language and the linguistic features of the target language. What are its principal effects? Some effects that the writer or the originator or the author of the text has just put to put that impact on people before, you know, when he just authored or said that text. So if you know that, you can think of how to render that also, or to translate that, or to transfer that to the other language. Okay, what genre does it belong to? That's okay, genre or text type. What does this belong to? And what audience? We're talking about the readership. And I talked to you before, or told you before, audience or readership, or people who are going to read the product of translation, are important to be put in your mind, that those people who are going to read the text or to listen to the text which you have just translated are important, because you don't translate the same way. The same text may not be translated in the same way when it's translated to different readerships. Okay, what are the functions and intended audience of my translation? Okay, that's okay. We're talking about functions and intended audience. You know, people you are going to translate that product to. And we have just finished. And thank you so much. And see you, inshallah, next lecture, which will begin on we'll begin in the practicals. Okay, thank you so much. See you, inshallah, next lecture.